Hello my dear students, I am Praveen Bansal, teaching class 11th Business Studies, Chapter 5, Emerging Modes of Business. After studying this chapter, you should be able to state the meaning of e-business, explain the process of online buying and selling as a part of e-business, distinguish e-business from traditional business, benefits of switching over to electronic mode, requirements of a firm which is going into e-business, identify major security concerns of electronic mode of doing business, discuss the need for business process outsourcing, appreciate the scope of business process outsourcing. Now, I'll introduce this chapter to you. The way business is done has undergone fundamental changes during the last decade or so. The manner of conducting business is referred to as the mode of business, and the prefix emerging underlines the fact that these changes are happening here and now, and that these trends are likely to continue. In fact, if one were to list the three strongest trends that are shaping business, this would be digitalization, which means conversion of text, sound, images, video and other content into a series of ones and zeros that can be transmitted electronically. And the second thing is outsourcing, which means handing over non-core activities of a business to some other captive unit. For an example, a hospital hands over the security thing to a security agency so that they can focus on their core activity, that is providing medical facilities to the patients. Security is not their core business, so they transfer this job to some other agency. That is outsourcing. Then we have internationalization and globalization. You will read about international business in your next chapters. We will be making you deal with the first two developments, that is digitalization, a term from electronics of business, also referred as electronic business, which is also known as e-business, and BPO, business process outsourcing. Before we do so, a brief discussion about the factors responsible for these two new modes of business would be in order. The newer modes of business are not new business. These are rather simply the new ways of doing business attributable to a number of factors. You are aware that business as an activity is aimed at creating utilities or value in the form of goods and services, which the household industrial buyers purchase for meeting their needs and wants. In an effort to improve the business processes, be it purchase, production, marketing, finance or human resource, business managers and business thinkers keep evolving newer and better ways of doing things. Business firms have to strengthen their capabilities of creating utilities and delivering value to successfully meet the competitive pressure and ever-growing demands of consumer for better quality, lower prices, speedier deliveries and better customer care. Besides, the quest for benefiting from emerging technologies means that business as an activity keeps evolving. And the very first thing which is going to cover all these things in one go is e-business. If the term business is taken to mean a wide range of activities comprising industry, trade and commerce, e-business may be defined as the conduct of industry, trade and commerce using the computer networks. The network you are most familiar with as a student or consumer is the internet. Whereas internet is a public thoroughway, firms use more private and hence more secure networks for more effective and efficient management of their internal function. There is one more term, that is e-commerce. These two terms are different. Many times, the terms e-business and e-commerce are used interchangeably. Yet more precise definitions would distinguish between the two. Just as the term business is a broader term than commerce, e-business is a more elaborate term and comprises various business transactions and functions conducted electronically, including the more popular gamut of transactions called e-commerce. E-commerce covers a firm's interactions with its customers and suppliers over the internet. Whereas e-business includes not only e-commerce but also other electronically conducted business functions such as production, inventory management, product development, accounting and finance, and human resource management. E-business is therefore clearly much more than buying and selling over the internet, that is e-commerce. From the above discussion, we can easily conclude that e-commerce is part of e-business. The way you people buy stuff by the help of various applications. So, that is e-commerce. But have you ever thought that there are so many people who are putting all those things online, and the salary, the wages to all that staff that is also dealt, all those things get a place in e-business. So, let's talk about e-business more. I have already mentioned that scope of e-business is quite vast. Almost all types of business functions such as production, finance, marketing and personal administration, as well as managerial activities like planning, organizing and controlling, can be carried out over computer networks. The other way of looking at the scope of e-business is to examine it in terms of people or parties which are involved in electronic transactions. Viewed from this perspective, a firm's electronic transactions and networks can be visualized as extending into three directions: B2B, business to business, which is a firm's interaction with other businesses. Then the second dimension is B2C, that is a firm's interaction with its customer, B2C, business to customers. Then the third is intra-B, or firm's internal processes of business is intra-B. So, if we have a brief discussion of various constituents of e-business and inter and intra transactions, among them is given as B2B commerce, B2C commerce, intra-B commerce, and nowadays we have one more direction, that is C2C, customer to customer commerce. Let's try to understand all these directions one by one, and let's start with B2B commerce first. Here, both the parties involved in e-commerce transactions are businesses, and hence the name B2B, that is business to business. Creation of utilities or delivering value requires a business to interact with a number of other business firms, which may be suppliers or vendors of diverse inputs, or else they may be a part of the channel through which firm distributes its products to the consumers. For an example, a manufacturer of an automobile requires assembly of a large number of components, which in turn are being manufactured elsewhere, within the vicinity of the automobile factory or even overseas. To reduce dependence on a single supplier, the automobile factory has to cultivate more than one vendor for each of the components. A network of computers is used for placing orders, monitoring production and delivery of components, and making payments. Likewise, a firm may strengthen and improve its distribution system by exercising a real-time control over its stock in transit, as well as that with different middlemen in different locations. Let's take one more example. Each consignment of goods from a warehouse and the stock at hand can be monitored, and replenishments and reinforcements can be set in motion as and when needed. Or else a customer's specifications may be routed through the dealer to the factory and fed into the manufacturing system for customized production. For an example, when you order a t-shirt, a customized t-shirt, you simply place an order. But do you know what that vendor has to go through? He orders a t-shirt, then he sends it to a printer, and then it is further sent to someone else for dye or something. So these all transactions are from business to another business until it is sent to you for the final usage. That is what B2B is. Let's start discussing our next direction, that is B2C commerce. As the name implies, B2C, business to customers. Transactions have business firms at one end and its customers on the other end. Although what comes to one's mind instantly is online shopping. It must be appreciated that selling is the outcome of the marketing process, and marketing begins well before a product is offered for sale and continues even after the product has been sold. B2C commerce therefore entails a wide gamut of marketing activities such as identifying activities, promotion, and sometimes even delivery of products, example, music or films, that are carried out online. E-commerce permits conduct of these activities at a much lower cost but high speed. For example, ATM speeds up withdrawal of money. Customers these days are becoming very choosy and desire individual attention to be given to them. Not only do they require the product feature be tailor-made to suit their requirements, but also the convenience of delivery and payment at their pleasure. With the onset of e-commerce, all this has become a reality. Further, B2C variant of e-commerce enables a business to be in touch with its customers on round the clock basis. Companies can conduct online surveys to ascertain as to who is buying what and what the customer's satisfaction level is. By now, you might have formed the opinion that B2C is a one-way traffic, that is, from business to customers. But do remember that this corollary, C2B commerce, is very much a reality, which provides the consumer with the freedom of shopping at will. Customers can also make use of call centers set up by companies to make toll-free calls to make queries and lodge complaints round the clock at no extra cost to them. The beauty of the process is that one need not set up these call centers or helplines. They may be outsourced. We shall discuss this aspect later in the section devoted to business process outsourcing, BPO. Let's start discussing our third direction, intra-B commerce. Here, parties involved in the electronic transactions are from within a given business firm. Hence, the name intra-B commerce As noted earlier too, one critical difference between e-commerce and e-business is that e-commerce comprises a business firm's interaction with its suppliers and distributors, other business firms and customers over the internet, while e-business is a much wider term and also includes the use of intranet for managing interactions and dealing among various departments and persons within a firm. It is largely due to use of intra-B commerce that today it has become possible for the firms to go in for flexible manufacturing. Use of computer networks makes it possible for the marketing department to interact constantly with the production department and get the customized product made as per the requirement of the individual customer. In a similar vein, closer computer-based interactions among the other departments makes it possible for the firm to reap advantage of efficient inventory and cash management, greater utilization of plant and machinery, effective handling of customers' orders, and effective human resource management, just as intercom facilitated voice communication within the office. Let's take an example. A firm's interaction with its employees, sometimes referred to as B2E commerce. Companies are resorting to personnel recruitment, interviewing and selection, training, development and education via e-commerce. Employees can use electronic catalogs and ordering forms and access inventory information for better interaction with the customers. B2E, business to employees. They can send field reports via email and the management can have them on real-time basis. In fact, virtual private network technology would mean that employees do not have to come to office. Instead, in a way, the office goes to them and they can work from wherever they are and at their own speed and time convenience. Meetings can be held online via tele-video conferencing, that is B2E, business to employee. In the last, we will be covering the very new thing, C2C commerce. Here, the business originates from the consumer and the ultimate destination is also consumer. Thus, the name C2C commerce. This type of commerce is best suited for dealing in goods for which there is no established market mechanism. For example, selling used book or clothes either on cash or barter system. The vast space of the internet allows person to globally search for potential buyers. Additionally, e-commerce technology provide market system security to such transactions, which otherwise would have been missing if the buyers and sellers were to interact in anonymity of one-to-one transactions. An excellent example of this is found at many applications in your phone. So students, this is how all the 4 directions of e-commerce comes to an end, and we will be discussing the more content of the same chapter in our next session. Till the time, take care, stay safe. Thank you.